We're gonna make a dinosaur. I got a template, piece of water newt. We got scissors. We got wood and we got paper. We got a really old can of spray adhesive. So here we go. There's bugs, lots of bugs. The glamorous life of a YouTube star. Sweat and bugs and dirt and dull scissors. Okay, we'll cut that out. Oops, got a face. Oh yeah, the grain's probably important. Like let's you know. All right, let's take this back. Let's take it back. Let's figure out how we want this thing to look, really, because I'm rushing this too much. So this side looks kind of cool. Other side's better. Dinosaur wood. Now we spray. Let's get you in close. All right, let's spray the paper, shall we? Okay. One. Spray on there. It sticks almost immediately, so you gotta kind of be okay with what you're doing here. It's gonna make your hands sticky, and you should be wearing a respirator for this, not just holding your breath like a dildo like I am. So just one quick layer. You shake it about. You shake it all up. You shake it all good. Shake a dinosaur. Okay. You get it on the paper, on the board, and your fingers are sticky for the rest of your life. This is like from an old, somebody ordered, not even old, somebody ordered a gun cabinet or something. I'm not really into guns, I don't know much about them. But the thing was a piece of shit, and it fell apart. And this is the back inside. And since I don't care so much about this material, it's not like this is a nice piece of walnut. I don't need to, like, you know, make it so I have to, you know, I don't have to cut so nicely on the thing. So here I just sprayed the back of the template of the inside pieces of the dino. And slappy do. Just like that. And cool. I got these little stapledy guys in here I'm gonna pull out. You don't need to see me do that, just assume that I did it right. You can hear, all right, saw's still running, but there, yeah. Staples out, cut it down, much easier to use. We're going to the bandsaw. I'm not gonna carry you over there. If you click on the thumbnail, then you already kind of know what I'm doing.
Okay, now since the, good lord that's loud, let me turn it down, hang on. Okay, that's way better. This is an old bandsaw, is my disclaimer, and it's being tuned up every time I use it, and I kind of screw it up here a little bit.
So let's figure out what I just did. I'm not the bandsaw pro here, so you know I've been tinkering with this thing for more than a few months. It was given to me by a good friend of mine.
I cut out the gratuitous name drop.
Dropping names.
Nope, you didn't, you idiot. I cut it out.
Know, I learn as I go, because that's what you do sometimes. So this is the interior, and it looks like I got myself a little off track. So let's adjust the bandsaw bits here.
I'll spare you the technical jargon and just say I bumbled my way through a fix, and let's get back to the project. Which, by the way, this is a Secret Santa gift for John Heisz of ibuildit.ca. Now, what do you make for a guy like that who could make just about anything himself that you could make but better? Yeah, I figured I'd go back to the well of things I've already designed and save myself a lot of, you know, effort. Well, John makes YouTube videos, and I know he's got a pretty nice camera. It definitely, almost definitely takes SD cards. And this is a SD card holder shaped like a dinosaur, made out of wood. So why not?
So I hired a new intern, guys. This is Sluggo. See, he's good. He's taking a rest right now.
I apologize for whatever this is. I must have been losing my mind while I was making this project. I think the holiday times just really mess with people who make things for a living.
He works slow, but he does good work. It just takes him a really long time. Hey, buddy. Yep, I'm watching. Don't worry about me. Try not to step on you while I'm setting up the shop.
I stepped right on him like 2 minutes later. I felt really
There's
bad.
a lot of dead crickets. I'm joking around about the bugs, but holy shit, I'm looking down and there's like 10 dead crickets in my basement shop. Alright. I mean, I know, I'm gonna get comments from you guys who live out in like Australia and shit who are like, oh, like a dingo ate me bandsaw.
I would just like to take a minute and formally apologize to any Australian viewers I have left. If you're still watching, sorry. So I will say, if you're just terrible at using the bandsaw like I am, this is a pretty great little project to build your skills up on. And I'll put a link to the template down in the description, so if you want to make one yourself, you can. I've made them out of OSB, leftover pine. I have a bit of a little dream about making one out of metal or brass or acrylic or something like that. I think the middle parts would look really cool in brass with a walnut outside. I chose to make this one out of this thin plywood and the walnut because I think it'll look really nice when it's all finished up. And off to the belt sander to sand to the template line on all the small parts, while trying not to sand off a knuckle or a fingernail or two. Alright, so this is a great little tip I've gotten from watching other woodworkers. If you're going to bandsaw a small part, especially what I'm doing here, which is sawing this leg piece in half, using one of these little twin screw clamps to hold it in place is an amazing idea. It saves you from cutting off your finger pads, and it gives you a lot more control. You can see about halfway through the cut the blade starts to stick a little bit, and I use the handles to adjust. Ta-da! I mean, you don't need narration for this part, right? I'm just taking paper off a thing. And now for the glue up, which you gotta make sure everything's nicely glued and aligned and all this fun stuff, and I definitely screw up in a few seconds and put glue on the wrong side of one of the parts, but we won't talk about that. We'll just watch me fix it later and pretend it never happened. Somehow this part, watching it in a video, always reminds me of a hot dog commercial. Got a nice little schmear going. And I'm going to be extra careful with the alignment because the SD cards have to fit in nicely. You don't want thin parts here and there. You don't want things being off kilter. This is where I screwed up on the glue. We're just going to glance over that while I keep talking. And really, just making sure it's all lined up now before you put it in the clamps is going to save you some steps later sanding. One thing I did very well in the design of this is I made sure that the curves on the dinosaur actually fit around the curves on my belt sander here. You don't see it, but it was something I thought about ahead of time, and it really saves me a lot of pain in the end. And it's time to glue on the legs. This, I should in the template specify a little better where the legs go. I don't. It's kind of up to the builder to figure out where they want the dinosaur to sit and how high and if it wants to lean forward or back. I use a saw there to kind of keep everything in alignment. And unfortunately the glue is a little too slick for the clamps and the legs start moving around. So I saw a trick where you can put some salt on the glue joints first, and that's supposed to hold it in place, like the little bit of grittiness. But all it did was make a big old mess for me, and I can't blow the salt off because it's stuck in the glue, and I used too much salt, and so it made this weird paste that you're going to see me try to scrape off with a screwdriver in a second. Just gross. It's just nasty. So I put on more glue and just powered right through it and got it figured out. Then I went ahead and sanded because the glue splotches were going to screw up the finish that I was about to put on, and I did that thing where you take the corner of the sandpaper and get into those grooves and really just make it all worse. After a lot of elbow grease and a lot of time, I got to the finishing stage. Or as I like to call it, the breathe deep and forget about all your problems stage. So in my rush to get this thing in the mail to John before the holidays, he lives in Canada and I'm pretty sure it shuts down in the wintertime. I forgot to take some video, but here it is with Nintendo Switch cards and SD cards and micro SD cards in the tail. Yes, they're all made of cardboard, but yes, they're all actual size. Alright, it's another one in the bag. I'm going to go make some more stuff. You can check out my channel if you want. If not, no big deal. Subscribe if you want. I'm not going to hold a gun to your head. Later, makers.